Good evening and welcome to the regular council meeting of Tuesday, May 26, 2026, held in person and online. I note that quorum has been reached and declare the meeting open. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live. While I will provide my opening remarks in English, you are welcome to address me in French or in English, and I will respond in the language of your choice. If at any point you would like a response translated, simply raise your hand. Veuillez noter que cette séance est enregistrée et diffusée en direct. Bien que je fasse mes remarques d'ouverture en anglais, vous êtes invité à vous adresser à moi en français ou en anglais et je vous répondrai dans la langue de votre choix. Si à un moment donné vous souhaitez qu'une réponse soit traduite, il vous suffira de lever la main. So first, I'd like to give my congratulations and welcome to Andrew Dumas, to my right. Thank you for running for Councillor of District 3 seat, for filling the seat by our side, and thank you also to both Luc Dion and Victoria Henderson for bringing a fuller discussion and perspective to the issues at the council table and town perspective. So Andrew, 156 votes out of 295, that's pretty extraordinary, so 53%. Again, congratulations. Tonight at item 4.7, Council will be formally tabling the Council orientations for 2025 to 2029, where last fall voters gave me a clear mandate of 67% of ballots were cast on November 2nd. These orientations span a diverse set of domains from financial stewardship and infrastructure to conservation, community well-being, and economic development. They translate a political campaign into a governing framework, clear, prioritized, and now on the public record. Several commitments are already underway or completed, such as the new collective agreement adopted last fall. The Economic Development Committee was launched in March, and key planning work is progressing. This remains a living document that will deepen and evolve through the strategic plan public consultation process, which I am committed to setting in place this term. Also tonight, we are formally recognizing the Pride season, and Progressive Pride flag will fly at the Stephen F. Sharp Community Center here from June 1st through September 30th, a visible and deliberate affirmation that every person in Hudson belongs equally in our community. Shakespeare by the Lake returns this summer for its 10th edition, which is a remarkable milestone for a production that has genuinely become part of who we are as a community. And on July 1st, Canada Day festivities will bring us together once again at Benson Park and Jack Layton Park. Also, congratulations to the Hudson Masonic Lodge and to Le Pont Bridging. On May 9th, Hudson's Masonic Lodge number 98 marked a milestone, a century in the making, the rededication of the cornerstone of their building at 60A Elm Avenue. 2026 marks the 100th anniversary of the lodge's construction, and this outdoor ceremony was a fitting way to honor that history. Freemasonry has long held values that resonate deeply with our own as a community, a commitment to fellowship, to service, and to the belief that we are made stronger by what we build together. It was a moment of continuity and civic pride, a reminder that the institutions which endure are those rooted in something larger than themselves, and that Hudson is richer for having this one among us for 100 years. On May 23rd, Le Pont Bridging celebrated 30 years of neighborhood helping neighbors. For 3 decades, this organization has quietly and steadily supported individuals and families in need across Hudson and the surrounding area, embodying something we hold dear as a community: the belief that no one should be left to face hardship alone. That kind of work, unglamorous, consistent, rooted in compassion, is the truest expression of living in community. With regards to updates on capital investment projects, the CLERK project, we received the final approval was given, and the project is now complete. For Lakeview, the paving operations, you will find a pop-up on the town's website. The final asphalt layer is being applied on Lakeview today as well as tomorrow, and as well as on portions of Oakland and McNaughton. What is planned or scheduled for today is the work from Cameron to Oakland for both lanes, and tomorrow the Cameron intersection to McNaughton will probably be closed during part of the day. Residents impacted in these paving operations, so of course, please take a look online. You'll find detailed explanation as to what can be done, not be done, what will be provided for you. And also, we understand that this work may cause temporary inconvenience and appreciate your patience and cooperation. Should you have any questions, please contact the town at 450-458-5347 or reach out in person at Town Hall. With regards to the questions regarding speed bumps and signage along Lakeview, so data that we have access to recently demonstrates that to date the use and the speed are comparable to pre-project. So the bumps and signs will be removed from the project at this time. We can always add these at a later date if the need becomes evident. With regards to Jack Layton Footbridge, the work was suspended due to high water levels, and it was due to resume this week. The circulation plan, the mandate definition has been set. The data available to the town for spot verification is available, and a resolution is to come in June with regards to the next steps for the circulation plan. For the community pool, this weekend was the registration. The work on the pool deck and pool surface has been unfortunately delayed due in part to weather conditions and additional unplanned work. The estimated date for the handoff of the pool is June 19th. The impact, of course, is that the 2-week pre-season used for schools with some free swim hours has been unfortunately canceled. This information was shared with those who came to sign up this weekend, and there will be more updates provided through the town's regular channels. The opening of the regular season will take place on June 28th. With regards to the pickleball courts, the courts located at 53 Cambridge across from the Falcon Golf Course. The official opening of the pickleball courts took place last Saturday morning with the town crier, Chris Gabel, also president of our cultural committee. And a word of welcome was shared by our own Councillor District 6, Darren Legault, followed by the official ribbon cutting courtside, and friendly matches followed. Thank you to Ron Goldenberg, who graciously volunteered to coach anyone interested in learning to play. With regards to Sandy Beach, for the project update for this month, the town of Hudson completed the acquisition of Sandy Beach on March 18th. Funding from the Communauté Métropolitaine de Montréal was confirmed the same month. La Trame Verte et Bleue, Green and Blue Corridors financing agreement was signed in April, and a reimbursement claim was filed with the CMM by the town in May. Work already completed on the site. So following the signing, hazardous trees were removed and a bylaw authorizing public access to the site was adopted. A kickoff meeting for the conservation plan with Nature Action Québec took place on March 24th. With regards to the official opening, there will be a community event marking the official opening of the site planned for the spring of 2027. This will be presenting the recommended improvements of the site's conservation management plan that will be completed during this year. A CMM representative will also be present for the occasion and will give us a chance as well to unveil the new name for the area. In the short term, basic site improvements are planned this year for removal of the concrete blocks, installation of garbage bins, dust suppression treatment along Royal View, and the replacement of the existing signage. Public consultation, a public survey will be launched in the coming weeks as part of the conservation plan process with Nature Action Québec. Suggestions for a new name for the site will be included in that survey, and on the recommendation of the Cultural Advisory Committee as well, so the HANCC, we will be adding a couple of options there as well from their suggestions. A note on access. So at this time, full access to the site remains conditional on completing the administrative portion of the acquisition of 2 Royal Views. So that section, you will find that there is going to still be some signs and some concrete blocks that belong there until that lot has been officially transferred to the town. With regards to public notices on the town's website, you will see that there are 2 files on the Demolition Committee's table that are meeting on June 1st of 2026 here at 6:30 p.m. One is for the relocation of the building at 796 Main Road, so on the lot to a different place on the lot, probably slightly further from the street, and a request for demolition of 10 Main Road. And a person, as a reminder, it's online, but you can find it there, but a person wishing to oppose to the relocation of the building or the demolition of the building must, in the 10 days of following publication, that brings it now before May 31st, should signal their disapproval, and they're also invited to bring their claim to the Demolition Committee on June 1st. Please note that the Demolition Committee meeting is not live-streamed or recorded, and interested people wishing to attend must do so in person. With regards to Coffee with the Mayor this month, it is this coming Saturday on May 30th, starting at 10 a.m., and will be held until noon at Halcrow Cottage, located at 539 Main. So with that, we will proceed with the rest of the agenda. Item 1.1, adoption of the agenda. This resolution is that, the adoption of the agenda is, je vais peut-être te laisser l'expliquer en français, puis je vais rattraper en anglais parce que j'arrive pas à lire ce que tu m'as écrit.
Désolée.
Vas-y.
1.1, adoption de l'ordre du jour. Que l'item 6.5, embauche à durée déterminée contre-maître en hygiène du milieu, et que l'item 3.8, octroi de contrat de gré à gré, contrat de service en urbanisme, soit retiré de l'ordre du jour.
Thank you. So we are proposing 2 modifications to the agenda this evening. So it is removing item 6.5, hiring of a fixed-term contract for water and wastewater service foreman, and also to remove the award of the contract for mutual services in urban planning service contract. That's right. So do I have a mover to my left? Reed Thompson, supported by Darren Legault. Are there any objections to this revised agenda? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Section 2. Confirmation of minutes. Item 2.1, this resolution is that the minutes of the council meeting held on April 28th of 2026 be and are hereby approved as submitted. En français.
2.1, adoption des procès-verbaux. Que le procès-verbal de la séance ordinaire du 28 avril 2026 soit approuvé par les présents tel que soumis.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Reed Thompson, supported by Mark Gray. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. So with this, we will proceed to the first question period. Chantal, je vais te laisser me dire s'il y a des personnes en ligne parce que je ne vois pas, j'ai pas encore ouvert ma session Zoom. So we will alternate in the room and online. There's already a person at the microphone, and Chantal, who's our Csur person, will let us know when there is a hand up in online. Please go ahead, Jim. Can you move closer to the microphone?
Can you hear me?
Est-ce qu'on l'entend bien? Oui? Keep going.
Number one, I wanted to thank the town for the intensive work that's been done on reproduit. It's really on its way to being restored. There's still some rocky points, but it's getting such heavy use. It's a very popular place for people to come walk their dogs. So on. Well, I'm not going to say any more about that, but I know that you're working on it. The second thing is I want to thank you as well for the shredding event. You're the only municipality in the MRC that did a shredding event so far this year. I think it's really valuable. I know there was a lineup of cars, and I wanted you to know that that it is singular that Hudson Hudson citizens can avail themselves of that service, nobody else. So, which leads me to the third point. We need to control access, or I suggest that you find some way to control access to the compost heap, to the compost delivery down at Heartbeat Farm. People came in with backhoes, payloaders, front-end loaders, and helped themselves. And there was a lot of industrial, well, I'm not going to call it pillage. I'm sure they pay their taxes. But it certainly shortened a period where other citizens, us with our little former boxes, blue boxes and so on, could get good compost. And the compost was excellent this year. But Darren, I know it's in your district, and you probably know more than I do about it, but there have been complaints about it. People have talked about it. So I just wanted to bring that point to your attention. Thank you.
I know the compost went really quickly this year. I wasn't even aware of when the pile was made available, but thank you for your comments on the Bradbury Trail. I've heard a lot of really positive feedback as well from a variety of people that don't usually speak up or come to the meetings, so that's really positive feedback. I know from my child who's in her last year at Westwood that even the children from Westwood go to the Bradbury Trail in warm weather as an outside. So it's part of their class. They actually go there. And I was just sort of wondering how a mob of children on fat bikes might be received by people walking casually. Yeah, so they're supposed to be well behaved is what I'm told, but if you hear otherwise, please let me know. Yeah. They choose it up. Yeah, fat bikes are difficult on the trails, I agree. What I understand is that Westwood was donated a lot of fat bikes so the children can go out and use them, and that happens to be the one that's close enough for them to get some outside use. But I agree with you, the fat bikes are questionable. I'm just going to see if there's someone online. Est-ce que nous pouvons avoir la quantité de gens qui sont en ligne et s'il y a une personne qui a levé la main?
16 personnes en ligne, mais aucune question pour l'instant.
Parfait, merci. So 16 people online, so please go ahead, Louise.
Lori. Nice haircut, by the way. Nice haircut.
I know,
Looks
that's
good.
why I'm late.
Just
Sorry.
got caught. I wanted to welcome the 3 new councillors, my neighbor, Andrew, and I'll have a question, but just to reinforce something, a government of proximity is a government of a municipality, and what that says is we shop in the same places, we attend the same meetings, we're able to speak to you. I know Peter Schiffke, I know I can have a meeting with him quickly, but it's harder for most people to meet with these government levels. So it's really important that you maintain that understanding that a government of proximity is just like when I ran the newspaper, you're there as a member and you're there to help the community. Now you get elected to a district, but once you're elected, you represent the entire town. So it's not just District 3 or District 2 or District 1. You represent the entire town. So if I call you for any district, you're also responsible for that. So that's just a point about government of proximity. This is from
Louise lecturing council.
Well, you know. Been there, done that. The question that I have for you, I know we're revising some bylaws regarding 526 and solar panels. Now,
526 is zoning?
Yeah, it's zoning. So I don't know if it's 526 or 525 that would be handling solar
525
panels.
is urban planning master
Which one
plan.
is which one is solar panels?
It probably is something in 526 zoning, probably.
Yeah. So solar panels for the town of Hudson, the bylaw says you cannot have solar panels on the front of your building. So if we take this huge roof, south-facing front would be amazing to have solar panels. Now, I know federal and provincial governments are now giving subsidies, and when I go through the expenditures and see how much we're paying in hydro and the number of power failures that we have all the time, perhaps it's time to revise how we treat solar panels and change that perspective.
They've certainly come a long way where they even have now roofing tiles, right, that are designed as roofing tiles but are actually capturing solos. I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it
And
up.
just a question, I've not seen this. We purchased the Villa Wyman project, or the property, did we not?
Yes.
We did. Did we get paid back for that? Were we not
We
getting
haven't
money?
applied for it because we haven't put together the actual affordable housing project. You'd
So
have to put
we're still
together.
the holder of the file. We still own the property. It's
We
not
own
been
the
handed
file.
over.
No, we own the lot.
Are we going to develop it, or we're handing it out?
The intent is that there would be the regional housing board that has a development group, attached to it. It would be the one developing it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any questions online? No?
No question.
Mon Dieu. Bon, let's continue. Section 3, Urban Planning and Environment. Item 3.1, SPAPE approval, May 26. Please go ahead, read.
Whereas the requests were reviewed by the Town Planning Advisory Committee at the meeting held on May 12, 2026, this resolution is to approve the SPAPE of the following projects: 87 Main, addition, approval by majority, and 789 Main, also an addition, unanimous approval.
3.1, approbation des PIA, mai 2026. Considérant que les demandes ont été analysées par le CCU lors de la rencontre du 12 mai 2026, cette résolution a pour but d'approuver le PIA relatif aux demandes suivantes. 87 Main, agrandissement, approbation à la majorité. 789 Main, agrandissement, approbation à l'unanimité.
May I have a mover? So Mark Gray, supported by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 3.2, 170 Main, SPAPE, major renovation works.
Whereas a permit request was received for major renovation works at 170 Main, whereas bylaw number 571 concerning site planning and architectural integration programs, or the SPAPE, indicates objectives and criteria to fulfill this type of permit application, whereas the Town Planning Advisory Committee's unanimous recommendation to refuse the SPAPE in support of the permit request, whereas the following criteria are not met: to ensure that architectural elements respect the architectural character of the building, and to ensure that exterior finished materials are in harmony with the architecture of the building and that their number be reduced to a minimum. This resolution is to refuse the SPAPE of the permit request at 170 Main.
3.2, 170 Main, PIA, travaux de rénovation majeure. Considérant qu'une demande de permis a été reçue pour des travaux de rénovation majeure pour le 170 Main, considérant que le règlement 571 sur les plans d'implantation et d'intégration architecturale PIIA indique des objectifs et critères à respecter pour une demande de ce type, considérant la recommandation unanime du Comité consultatif d'urbanisme de refuser le PIIA relatif à la demande de permis, considérant que les critères d'évaluation non remplis sont les suivants: assurer que les éléments architecturaux respectent le caractère architectural du bâtiment, assurer que les matériaux de revêtement extérieur cadrent avec l'architecture du bâtiment et que leurs nombres soient réduits au minimum. Cette résolution a pour but de refuser le PIA relatif à la demande de permis pour le 170 Main.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my right? Matt Stenberg, supported by Bob Johnson. Are there any objections to my left? There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 3.3, 460-462 Main, SPAPE sign.
Whereas a certificate of authorization request was received for a sign on 460-462 Main, whereas bylaw number 571 concerning site planning and architectural integration programs, SPAPE, indicates objectives and criteria to fulfill this type of permit application, whereas the Town Planning Advisory Committee's recommendation by majority to conditionally approve the SPAPE in support of the permit request, this resolution is to approve the SPAPE of the certificate of authorization request at 460-462 Main on the condition that the shape and size of the sign be identical to the shape and size of the sign of Satori already existing on the structure.
3.3, 462 Main PIA enseigne. Considérant qu'une demande de certificat d'autorisation a été reçue pour une enseigne pour le 460-462 Main, considérant que le règlement 571 sur les plans d'implantation et d'intégration architecturale PIIA indique des objectifs et critères à respecter pour une demande de ce type, considérant la recommandation majoritaire du Comité consultatif d'urbanisme d'approuver conditionnellement le PIA relatif à la demande de certificat d'autorisation. Cette résolution a pour but d'approuver le PIA relatif à la demande de certificat d'autorisation pour le 460-462 même, à la condition que la forme et la grandeur de l'enseigne soient identiques à la forme et la grandeur de l'enseigne du commerce Satori déjà existant sur la structure.
Do I have a mover to my right? Matt Stenberg, supported to my left by Mark Gray. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 3.4, 481 Main, work on a designated heritage property.
Whereas roof replacement work is planned for the town hall located at 481 Main, whereas the town designated town hall as a historic monument in 2012 through the adoption of bylaw number 599 concerning historic buildings, whereas the work is subject to a recommendation from the Town Planning Advisory Committee before a decision by Town Council, whereas the unanimous recommendation from the committee is to approve the proposed work. This resolution is to approve the proposed work on Town Hall located at 481 Main.
3.4, 481 Main, travaux sur un bâtiment cité. Considérant que des travaux de remplacement de la toiture sont projetés sur l'hôtel de ville situé au 481 Main, considérant que la Ville a cité l'hôtel de ville à titre de monument historique en 2012 par le biais de l'adoption du règlement 599 sur les bâtiments historiques, considérant que les travaux sont assujettis à une recommandation par le Comité consultatif d'urbanisme avant la décision du Conseil municipal, considérant la recommandation unanime favorable du Comité, cette résolution a pour but d'approuver les travaux projetés sur l'hôtel de ville situé au 481 rue Maine.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Mark Gray, supported by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 3.5, appointment, TPAC members.
Whereas the Town Planning Advisory Committee has been established in accordance with Section 146 of the Act respecting land use and planning and development, whereas 2 positions are currently vacant on the committee, whereas the town published a call for applications from March 31st to April 13th, 2026, and a total of 5 applications were received, and that an interview process took place in order to meet all the candidates. This resolution is to name Mrs. Paul Gagnon and Mr. Brian Grubert as citizen members for a mandate of 2 years starting on June 1st, 2026. That this appointment be conditional upon the members completing the mandatory training within the time limits prescribed by law, and that the Town Council thanks Mr. Amiot for his involvement and work carried out during his mandate on the committee.
3.5, nomination membre du CCU. Considérant qu'un comité consultatif d'urbanisme a été constitué en vertu de l'article 146 de la Loi sur l'aménagement et l'urbanisme, considérant que 2 postes sont présentement vacants sur le comité, considérant que la Ville a publié un appel de candidature du 31 mars au 13 avril 2026, qu'un total de 5 candidatures ont été obtenues et qu'un processus d'entrevue a eu lieu afin de rencontrer tous les candidats, cette résolution a pour but de nommer Mme Paul Gagnon et M. Brian Grubert à titre de membres citoyens pour un terme de 2 ans qui débute le 1er juin 2026, que cette nomination est conditionnelle à la réalisation de la formation obligatoire par les membres dans les délais prescrits par la loi et que le Conseil municipal remercie M. Amiot pour son implication et travail réalisé durant son mandat au sein du Comité consultatif d'urbanisme.
Merci beaucoup. Do I have a mover to my left? Reed Thompson, supported by Mark Gray. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. So welcome, Paul, and welcome back, Brian. Thank you both for putting your name in the hat, and also to the other three people. I believe there was quite an extensive interview process as well, and always great people who show interest. So it's never an easy decision, but we feel that these two will bring a nice balance to the group. And merci Stéphane Amiot pour votre temps sur le comité. Ça a été très, très intéressant. On est désolé que vous ayez acheté une maison hors de Hudson et peut-être que vous allez un jour revenir et faire partie de notre comité du CCU. Donc, merci beaucoup pour votre service et pour votre attention. Vous avez vraiment bien contribué à ce comité. Donc, merci. Thank you, everyone. Item 3.6, comments from the town of Hudson on the Vaudreuil-Soulanges MRC Heritage Inventory. Whereas under the Cultural Heritage Act, the regional county municipalities, MRCs, must by April 1st of 2026 adopt an inventory of buildings constructed before 1940 that have heritage value. Whereas the town attaches particular importance to the protection and enhancement of its heritage, whereas the town wishes the MRC further develop and improve the inventory so that it more fully reflects the diversity and unique characteristics of the heritage present in its territory. This resolution is that Council requests the MRC to consider the following recommendations: the inclusion of outbuildings, monuments, and other secondary buildings in the inventory, the inclusion of reconstructions in the inventory, the addition of heritage features, including the archaeological site of the Ottawa Glassworks, and the preparation of communications and tools in French and in English.
3.6, commentaire de la Ville d'Hudson sur l'inventaire du patrimoine de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. Considérant qu'en vertu de la loi sur le patrimoine culturel, les MRC doivent au plus tard le 1er avril 2026 adopter un inventaire des immeubles construits avant 1940 et qui présentent une valeur patrimoniale. Considérant que la Ville accorde une importance particulière à la protection et à la mise en valeur de son patrimoine, considérant que la Ville souhaite que la MRC bonifie l'inventaire afin qu'il reflète de manière plus complète la diversité et les particularités du patrimoine présent sur son territoire, cette résolution vise à ce que le Conseil demande à la MRC de considérer les recommandations suivantes: l'intégration des dépendances monuments, édicules et autres immeubles secondaires à l'inventaire, la prise en compte des reconstructions à l'inventaire, l'ajout d'éléments d'intérêt patrimonial incluant le site archéologique de l'ancienne verrerie Ottawa Glassworks et la diffusion de communications et d'outils en français et en anglais.
Merci beaucoup. Do I have a mover to my left? Darren Legault, supported by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. So baptism by fire, item 3.7, since it is relevant to the merchants and commercial sector, I will read the title and have Andrew Dumas read the rest of the resolution. So item 3.7, pilot project, temporary terraces on public property. Take it away.
Let me get a little closer to the microphone. Whereas in previous years, temporary approval was granted to restaurant owners, allowing them to set up temporary terraces on public property due to special circumstances, this resolution is to authorize the occupation of the public domain by temporary terraces for the year 2026.
You have to go to page 111.
Continue on. That the Director of Urban Planning, the Urban Planning Division, Head of the Permits and Inspections Division, the Urban Planning Technician, the Urban Planning Inspector, and the Inspection Agent be designated as the persons responsible for issuing the permit and ensuring compliance with the conditions.
3.7, projet pilote, occupation du domaine public par des terrasses temporaires. Considérant les permissions temporaires données aux restaurateurs par les années passées, dans un contexte particulier permettant l'aménagement de terrasses temporaires sur le domaine public, cette résolution vise à autoriser l'occupation du domaine public par les terrasses temporaires pour l'année 2026 et que le directeur de l'urbanisme, la chef de division de l'urbanisme, le chef de division permis et inspection, le technicien en urbanisme, l'inspecteur en urbanisme et l'agent d'inspection soient désignés à titre de personnes désignées pour l'émission du permis et pour veiller au respect des conditions émises.
Merci beaucoup. Do I have a mover to my right? It's Bob Johnson and Andrew Dumas. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. So the conditions for this are the same, I believe, as in years past. All the conditions are provided in this very long resolution, so we only read 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs maybe. But if you're curious, you can always look at last year's for that and contact, of course, the Town Planning Advisory, the Town Planning Department for details on this, and we hope that this will be useful to you. Item 3.8 has been removed. Moving to item 3.9, tabling of TPAC minutes for April 2026. Members of Council take note of the tabling of the Town Planning Advisory Committee minutes en français.
3.9, dépôt des procès-verbaux du CCU, avril 2026. Les membres du Conseil prennent acte du dépôt du procès-verbal du Comité consultatif d'urbanisme.
Section 4, Administration and Finance. Item 4.1, approval of disbursements for May of 2026. This resolution is to approve the following disbursements as of May 14th, 2026, as presented, for a subtotal of $2,064,190.88 with 2 payrolls, payroll 8 at $233,455.01 and payroll 9 at $154,216.36 for a total of accounts paid of $2,451,862.25. And Darren, if you wanted to add a few details, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. It's relatively higher this month for a couple reasons. One is our semi-annual payment, biannual payment, or one of 2 payments to the SQ is on here. That's a relatively large amount that we do get out of d'avance on eventually, so that'll show up. We also have our MRC quote pals, which I believe are separated in 2 or 3 payments. We had the payment to Besner for the snow removal, so that's one that's happily paid. They do a good job. And I believe, I'll look over at the DG, the payroll 08 was higher because that included a lot of the back pay from the resolutions, or the resolving of the collective agreement and the white-collar workers and all the back pay and everything. So it was a big month, one that makes you go,
Thank you, Darren. En français?
4.1, approbation des paiements mai 2026. Cette résolution a pour but d'approuver le paiement des comptes au 14 mai 2026 tel que présenté. Sous total des paiements, 2 064 190,88 sous. 2 périodes de paye. La paye 8 pour 233 455 et 1 sou. La paye 9 pour 154 216,36 sous, pour un sous-total des comptes à payer de 2 451 862,25 sous.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Mark Gray, supported by Darren Legault. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 4.2, funding surplus, project HY-2204, So whereas project HY-2204 was funded from operating revenues in 2023, whereas the TEC 2019 to 2023 program grant in the amount of $247,709.34 for this project has been approved, this resolution is to authorize the release the excess funding for project HY-2204 and return it to the unappropriated surplus.
4.2, excédent de financement projet HI 2204. Considérant que le projet HI 2204 a été financé par les revenus de fonctionnement en 2023, considérant l'approbation de la subvention du programme TEC 2019-2023 pour un montant de 247 709,34 sous pour ce projet, cette résolution a pour but d'autoriser de libérer l'excédent de financement du projet HI-2204 et de le retourner à l'excédent non affecté.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my right? Bob Johnson, supported by Matt Stenberg. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 4.3, refinancing of issue 71100-18, loan bylaw 782-2025, concordance. Whereas in accordance with the following bond ordinance and for the amount specified, the Town of Hudson intends to issue a series of bonds consisting of one bond per maturity date in the total amount of $5,281,000, to be redeemed on June 12th of 2026, distributed as follows. So for the entirety of loan 782-2025, $5,281,000. Whereas for the purposes of this bond issue and for loan bylaw number 782-2025, the Town of Hudson wishes to issue bonds for a term shorter than that originally set in these bylaws. This resolution is that the loan bylaw referred to in this first paragraph of the preamble be financed by bonds. Whereas with respect to the annual principal repayment scheduled for 2032 and thereafter, the term provided for in loan bylaw number 782-2025 is shorter than that originally established, namely a term of 5 years, beginning June 12th of 2026 instead of the term prescribed for said repayment, with each subsequent issue to be for the balance of or part of the balance due on the loan. If you could remind me, the loan bylaw for $5,200,000 is for?
L'emprunt pour Sandy Beach.
Très bien. En français?
4.3, refinancement de l'émission 71100-18, règlement d'emprunt 782-2025, concordance. Considérant que conformément au règlement d'emprunt suivant et pour le montant indiqué, la Ville d'Hudson souhaite émettre une série d'obligations, soit une obligation par échéance pour un montant total de $5,281,000 qui sera réalisé le 12 juin 2026, réparti comme suit. Règlement d'emprunt 782-2025 pour un montant total de $5,281,000. Considérant que pour les fins de cette émission d'obligations et pour le règlement d'emprunt numéro 782-2025, la Ville d'Hudson souhaite émettre pour un terme plus court que celui originalement fixé à ces règlements. Cette résolution a pour but que le règlement d'emprunt indiqué au premier alinéa du préambule soit financé par obligation, que en ce qui concerne les amortissements annuels de capital prévus pour les années 2032 et suivantes, le terme prévu dans le règlement d'emprunt numéro 782-2025 soit plus court que celui originalement fixé, c'est-à-dire pour un terme de 5 ans à compter du 12 juin 2026, au lieu du terme prescrit par les 10 amortissements, chaque émission subséquente devant être pour le solde ou partie du solde dû à l'emprunt.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Reed Thompson, supported by Mark Gray. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. Did you want to add something, Bob? I see you turned on your microphone.
If I understand this correctly, that total of $411,600 should be the sum of the two above, and it's not quite there. Pretty close, but not quite.
Right. Is that for the next resolution? It's not for this one. We're still on the loan for Sandy Beach, je crois. Est-ce que je me trompe?
No, this is on 4.4.
Oh, sorry.
It outlines the cost of the two works, and then if you add those
But
together.
that's for the next one, right? So we're going to complete item 4.3. C'est bien
Okay,
ça, René?
okay,
On va
sorry.
compléter 4.3. D'accord. So we're going to the vote for 4.3. Est-ce qu'on avait un appuyeur et un second?
Oui, Reed Thompson
Okay.
puis Mark Gray.
So are there any objections to that resolution? I believe there were none. So we are moving to 4.4. 4.4, authorization of expenditures and allocation of the designated surplus for buildings renovation work. Whereas indoor air quality tests were conducted in 2 municipal buildings, namely Town Hall and the building located at 64 Cedar Street. Whereas these analyses have identified certain issues that require corrective action to ensure a healthy and safe environment for employees and users. Whereas the estimated costs of the work amount to, and this is what Bob was speaking to, so it's two numbers, $260,640 for Town Hall and $151,200 for 64 Cedar Street. So the total of that. So this resolution is that the Town Council authorize the renovation work required in the designated municipal buildings and that the cost of this work totaling, and you are correct, the total is incorrect, and I could do it.
411,840.
Okay, so 840. So $411,840 before taxes be covered by the designated surplus assigned to buildings, and that the administration be authorized to take the necessary steps to give full effect to this resolution. En français?
4.4, autorisation de dépenses et affectation de surplus affectés bâtiments, travaux de rénovation. Considérant que des analyses de la qualité de l'air intérieur ont été réalisées dans 2 bâtiments municipaux, soit l'Hôtel de Ville et l'immeuble situé au 64 rue Cédar, considérant que ces analyses ont mis en lumière certaines problématiques nécessitant des travaux correctifs afin d'assurer un environnement sain et sécuritaire pour les employés et les usagers, considérant que les coûts estimés des travaux s'élèvent à 260 640 pour l'Hôtel de Ville et 151 200 pour le 64 rue Cédar. Cette résolution a pour but que le Conseil municipal autorise la réalisation des travaux de rénovation requis dans les bâtiments municipaux visés, puis que le financement de ces travaux pour un montant total de 411 840 avant taxes soit assumé à même le surplus affecté bâtiment. Que l'administration soit autorisée à procéder aux démarches nécessaires afin de donner plein effet à la présente résolution.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Mark Gray, supported by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 4.5, awarding of contract by mutual agreement. Town Hall furniture. Whereas the town wishes to optimize and improve municipal workspaces in order to foster a functional ergonomic, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, ergonomic environment tailored, here's my French coming out, tailored to employees' needs. This resolution is to award a private contract to NUA Office, Inc. for the supply of furniture and workspace design, including desks, partitions, and storage units, to authorize an expenditure of $24,999 before taxes for the execution of this contract, and to authorize the Director General to sign any document necessary for this contract and to ensure its execution. That this expenditure be funded from the building's designated surplus.
4.5, octroi de contrat de gré à gré mobilier Hôtel de Ville. Considérant que la Ville souhaite procéder à l'optimisation et à l'amélioration des espaces de travail municipaux afin de favoriser un environnement fonctionnel, ergonomique et adapté aux besoins des employés, cette résolution a pour but d'octroyer un contrat de gré à gré à NUA Office, Inc. pour la fourniture de mobilier d'aménagement d'espaces de travail incluant bureaux, cloisons et unités de rangement, d'autoriser une dépense de 24 999 000 avant taxe pour la réalisation de ce contrat, d'autoriser la directrice générale à signer tout document nécessaire à la réalisation du contrat et à en assurer l'exécution et que cette dépense soit financée à même le surplus affecté bâtiment.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Mark Gray, supported by Darren Legault. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 4.6, appointment EDC committee. Whereas certain changes need to be made to the composition of the Economic Development Committee regarding the chairmanship of that committee, this resolution is to appoint Councillor Andrew Duma as chair of the Economic Development Committee, replacing myself, Mayor Chloe Hutchison, and to appoint myself, Mayor Chloe Hutchison, as a member of the Economic Development Committee. En français.
4.6, nomination comité EDC. Considérant certaines modifications à apporter à la composition du comité de développement économique concernant la présidence de ce comité, cette résolution a pour but de nommer le conseiller Andrew Dumas, président du comité de développement économique, en remplacement de la mairesse, Mme Chloé Hutchison, et de nommer la mairesse Chloé Hutchison membre du comité de développement économique.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? So Reed Thompson, supported by Mark Gray. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. So this was a campaign engagement where Peter Mayton and I think the rest of council felt very strongly that the council receive recommendations from the merchant community. And unfortunately, when Peter stepped down, we were left with a gap. So I sat in that chair just long enough for Andrew to step into it. So well done, Andrew. Thank you for making that possible. It's been a great meeting, or great committee already, a lot of positive engagement, a lot of very active voices, and we will be, and I believe have or will be, tabling the minutes from this committee. I have been acting as secretary, so cheating a little bit with artificial intelligence, making the quality of the meeting minutes sort of a little changing from time to time, so I think that will stabilize, probably with Andrew taking this on. But anyway, we will continue to improve on this, but we're very grateful for the level of engagement from the merchants, and thank you again, Andrew, for taking this on. Item 4.7, tabling of council orientations 2025 to 2029. So as mentioned at the start of this meeting, the members of council take note of the tabling of the orientations 2025 to 2029. En français.
4.7, dépôt orientation 2025-2029 du Conseil. Les membres du Conseil prennent acte du dépôt des orientations 2025-2029.
Merci. Section 5, Town Clerk, item 5.1, authorization of signature, transaction and release, Superior Court 760-17-007-661-260. Whereas on March 26 of 2026, the plaintiff initiated legal proceedings in court case 760-17-007-661-260, primarily to claim damages to be determined and to contest Resolution R 2026-02-25 adopted by the Town Council, which denied the request for a site planning and architectural integration plan, the SPAPE, for the purpose of carrying out a construction project on her lot. This resolution is to authorize the Town Clerk or the Director General to sign the transaction release dated May 14th, 2026, and to authorize Denton Rainville SNCRL to file a notice of settlement in the Superior Court, file numbered 760-17-007-661-260. I believe this is related to 2 Royal View. Is this 2 Royal View? Yes. So this is releasing the legal claim that the owner had against the town. En français.
5.1, autorisation de signature, transaction quittance, dossier Cour supérieure 760-17-007, 661-260, considérant que la demanderesse a entrepris le 26 mars 2026 des procédures judiciaires dans le dossier de cour 760-17-007-661-260 afin essentiellement de réclamer des dommages-intérêts à parfaire et de contester la résolution R 2026-02-25 adoptée par le Conseil municipal de la Ville, refusant la démarche de plan d'implantation et d'intégration architecturale, le PIA, dans le but de réaliser un projet de construction sur son lot. Cette résolution a pour but d'autoriser la greffière ou la directrice générale à signer la transaction quittance datée du 14 mai 2026 et d'autoriser Hudson Rainville SENCRL à déposer un avis de règlement au dossier de la Cour supérieure portant le numéro 760-17-007-661-260.
Merci beaucoup. Do I have a mover to my right? Matt Stenberg to my left, Darren Legault. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 5.2, tabling of document. The town clerk proceeds with the tabling of a petition received April 28th of 2026 concerning park development and proper management of the municipality-owned lot on Osakawa, so Willowbrook. The petition contains 46 signatures from residents of the area. I've received multiple emails as well from the group. I believe others have as well. As I've answered to them, we do have a parks master plan that is in place with an action plan, and certainly Osakawa, but also District 4 are two areas where there is a shortage of community parks or neighborhood parks. And I have asked that we begin at least acquisition of that lot, which I believe still belongs to the developer. But they do bring a good point, which is the maintenance of that lot. We should be looking at least at making it look a little bit better. It will help improve the look and feel of that area. And obviously, there's a lot of young families that are moving into Hudson, so it is important that we continue to invest in these neighborhood parks. And as we know, this year, our efforts have gone towards the pickleball court, but also in putting back the equipment or better equipment for youth in the Hudson Valleys and Alston Vale area. So that is under design right now. The actual construction implementation of the Cambridge Park playground area will be early next year. And hopefully we will begin design intent for the next major park for us to start investing in. Whether it is District 1 or District 4 remains to be seen. I think that as we come closer to budget preparation time, those discussions will take anew. New councillors were presented the Parks Master Plan and Action Plan this past month. So please continue to bring us your feedback and your comments. I think it's very valuable for us to know that there is such a high demand and that these areas are certainly to be kept at the forefront of our investment. So thank you. On l'avait dit en français? Oui? Non, on ne l'a pas dit en français, allez-y.
5.2, dépôt de documents. La greffière procède au dépôt d'une pétition reçue le 28 avril 2026 concernant une demande pour l'aménagement d'un parc et la bonne gestion du terrain appartenant à la municipalité située à Osakawa dans le Willowbrook.
Section 6, Human Resources, Item 6.1, May 2026, List of personnel movements, unionized staff hires and departures. This is for tabling. Members of Council, take note of the tabling of the May 2026 List of personnel movements, unionized staff hires and departures.
6.1, dépôt liste de mouvements de personnel, embauche et départ du personnel syndiqué, mai 2026. Les membres du Conseil prennent acte du dépôt de la liste de mouvements de personnel, embauche et départ du personnel syndiqué, mai 2026.
Merci. Item 6.2, Darren, do you feel like reading?
6.2, Letter of Agreement, Fixed Term Contract, Project Coordination Technician. Whereas in November 2025, the town hired a temporary project coordination technician to cover for the incumbent technician's sick leave, and that this assignment was initially scheduled to end on May 10th, 2026. Whereas the administration's recommendation to extend this post in order to ensure the continuity and stability of operations. This resolution is to extend the contract of the project coordination officer for a period of 36 months in line with the department's requirements, and that this expenditure be allocated in accordance with the budget set aside for payroll in the coming years.
Thank you.
6.2, lettre d'entente, contrat à durée déterminée, technicienne en coordination de projet. Considérant qu'en novembre 2025, la Ville a procédé à l'embauche temporaire d'une technicienne en coordination de projet afin de pallier l'absence pour maladie du technicien titulaire et que ce mandat devait initialement prendre fin le 10 mai 2026, considérant la recommandation de l'administration de prolonger cet emploi afin d'assurer la continuité et la stabilité des opérations, cette résolution a pour but de prolonger le mandat de la technicienne en coordination de projet pour une période de 36 mois conformément aux besoins du service et que cette dépense soit affectée conformément au budget prévu à la masse salariale des prochaines années.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Darren Legault, supported by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. So we hear very positive feedback regarding this person, and we're very glad that she has chosen to continue with us. Sometimes we receive, I believe, updates. It is from the same person that are very professional, very structured. So we appreciate, again, that this person has stepped in and chosen to stay with Hudson for the next 36 months. Item 6.3, Darren, employees probation, May 2026.
Whereas November 2025 personnel transfer list confirms the hiring of employee 1102 to the position of journeyman 208 for the town of Hudson. This resolution is to confirm employee 1102 in the position of journeyman 208 effective May 18th, 2026, since his probationary period ended on May 17th of 2026, that this expenditure be allocated in accordance with the budget for the 2026 payroll.
6.3, probation employé mai 2026. Considérant la liste de mouvements de personnel du mois de novembre 2025, confirmant l'embauche de l'employé 1102 au poste de journalier fonction 208 de la Ville d'Hudson, cette résolution a pour but de confirmer l'employé 1102 dans son poste de journalier 208 dès le 18 mai 2026, puisque sa période de probation s'est terminée en date du 17 mai 2026. Que cette dépense soit affectée conformément au budget prévu à la masse salariale de 2026.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Darren Legault, supported by Mark Gray. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 6.4, extension of the probation period for white-collar employees, May 2026. Darren.
Whereas the personnel transfer list dated November 2025 confirms the hiring of employee 1103 to the position of the urban planning inspector for the town of Hudson. This resolution is to extend the probationary period of employee 1103 by a further 3 months, that the expenditure be allocated in accordance with the budget for the 2026 payroll.
En français.
6.4, prolongation de la période de probation employé col blanc mai 2026. Considérant la liste de mouvements de personnel du mois de novembre 2025, confirmant l'embauche de l'employé 1103 au poste d'inspecteur en urbanisme à la Ville d'Hudson, cette résolution a pour but de prolonger la période de probation de l'employé 1103 de 3 mois supplémentaires, que cette dépense soit affectée conformément au budget prévu à la masse salariale de 2026.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my right? Bob Johnson, supported by Matt Stenberg. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 6.5 was withdrawn from the agenda. Section 7, Culture, Recreation, and Community Engagement. Item 7.1, no parking ban removed at Jack Layton Park. Jack Layton Park activity, Shakespeare by the Lake 2026. Reed.
Whereas Shakespeare by the Lake will take place on July 30th and 31st, and August 1st, 2nd, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th in 2026. This resolution is to authorize the use of Jack Layton Park for Shakespeare by the Lake rehearsals and shows on the following dates and times, provided the park remain accessible to the public and the production is free and open to the public. The 2026 rehearsal dates and times are Sunday, 12 p.m. to 2:15 p.m., July 19th and July 26th. Tuesday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., July 21st and the 28th. Thursday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., July 23rd. 2026 show dates. Thursday, July 30th and August 6th. Friday, July 31st and August 7th. Saturday, August 1st and August 8th. And Sunday, August 2nd and August 9th. The show time is at 7 p.m. And this resolution is to authorize parking without a pass at Jack Layton Park on the show dates detailed above, beginning at 3 p.m.
7.1, levée interdiction de stationnement au parc Jack Layton, activité dans le parc Jack Layton, Shakespeare by the Lake 2026. Considérant que Shakespeare by the Lake aura lieu les 30 et 31 juillet et 1er, 2, 6, 7, 8 et 9 août 2026, cette résolution a pour but d'autoriser l'utilisation du parc Jack Layton pour les répétitions et les représentations de Shakespeare by the Lake aux dates et heures suivantes, à condition que le parc demeure accessible au public et que la production soit gratuite et ouverte à tous. Date et heure des répétitions 2026. Le dimanche 19 et 26 juillet, de midi à 14h15. Le mardi 21 et 28 juillet, de 17h à 19h. Et le jeudi 23 juillet, de 17h à 19h. Date des représentations 2026, jeudi 30 juillet et 6 août, vendredi 31 juillet et 7 août, samedi 1er août et 8 août, dimanche 2 août et 9 août. Les représentations commencent à 19h. D'autoriser le stationnement sans vignette au parc Jack Layton aux dates de spectacle indiquées ci-dessus à compter de 15h.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Mark Gray, supported by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 7.2, authorization to sign renewal intermunicipal agreement on reciprocal and free access to municipal parks. Mark Gray.
I figured you'd get me eventually. Whereas intermunicipal agreement entered into 2021 and renewed annually since then with the town of St. Lazare aims to provide reciprocal free access to municipal park. This resolution proposes to conclude an intermunicipal agreement with the town of St. Lazare to provide reciprocal free access to municipal parks for the period from April 1st, 2026 to March 31st, 2027, to authorize the town clerk to sign said agreement and any other required document in order to give full effect to this resolution.
Thank you.
Just a point of clarification, because the wording is a bit confusing. Conclude means that we are approving the intermunicipal and not finishing the intermunicipal agreement?
De signer,
It's to
de
approve?
conclure.
In French, to conclude means to sign it, whereas in
Oui.
English,
Yeah.
it could be to finish it, to
Yes.
end it. So we should put sign it.
Sign.
Yeah.
Yes, please, and thank you.
I'm sure there's both meanings, but one seems to be more predominant. Donc, est-ce qu'on l'avait lu en français?
Non.
Non.
7.2, autorisation de signature, renouvellement entente intermunicipale des accès réciproques et sans frais à des parcs municipaux. Considérant que l'entente intermunicipale intervenue en 2021 est renouvelée annuellement depuis avec la Ville de Saint-Lazare aux fins de permettre des accès réciproques et sans frais à des parcs municipaux, cette résolution a pour but de conclure l'entente intermunicipale avec la Ville de Saint-Lazare aux fins de permettre des accès réciproques et sans frais à des parcs municipaux pour la période du 1er avril 2026 au 31 mars 2027 et d'autoriser la greffière à signer la dite entente et tout autre document requis afin d'exécuter et donner plein effet à cette résolution.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my right? Andrew Duma, supported by Matt Stenberg. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 7.3, Canada Day park closures. I generally give all parking restriction bans and such to Reed, but I'll ask Matt if he feels like reading this resolution.
Sure.
7.3.
Whereas Canada Day celebrations will take place at Benson Park and Jack Layton Park on Tuesday, July 1st from noon to 11 p.m. and entertainment, music, and food are planned. Whereas the parking lot at Jack Layton Park must be closed from 7 a.m. to midnight to allow for the setup of the stage and equipment and the boat ramp, which must be closed all day. Whereas Benson Park must be closed from Tuesday, June 30th to Thursday, July 2nd for the setup and takedown of the event. Whereas no parking signs must be installed on the following streets for the safety of pedestrians and emergency vehicles: Reed on one side, Selkirk on one side, Park on two sides, Pine on one side. It is resolved to authorize the closure of Benson and Jack Layton Parks, the mentioned parking lots, and the boat ramp for the dates and times mentioned. To authorize the aforementioned parking bans for the duration of the event.
Thank you. En français.
7.3, Fête du Canada, fermeture de parc. Considérant que les festivités de la Fête Canada se tiendront au parc Benson et Jack Layton le mardi 1er juillet de midi à 23 heures et que de l'animation, de la musique et de la nourriture sont prévues. Considérant que le stationnement du parc Jack Layton doit être fermé de 7 heures à minuit afin de permettre le montage de la scène et du matériel et que la descente de bateaux doit être fermée toute la journée. Considérant que le parc Benson doit être fermé du mardi 30 juin au jeudi 2 juillet pour le montage et le démontage de l'événement. Considérant que des affiches d'interdiction de stationnement doivent être ajoutées sur les rues suivantes pour la sécurité des piétons et pour permettre la circulation de véhicules d'urgence, Reed, un côté, Selkirk, un côté, Park, deux côtés et Pine, un côté. Cette résolution a pour but d'autoriser la fermeture des parcs Benson et Jack Layton, des stationnements mentionnés et la descente à bateau pour les dates et heures mentionnées et d'autoriser les interdictions de stationnement nommées pour la durée de l'événement.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Reed Thompson, supported by Mark Gray. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 7.4, Pride Month recognition. I usually give that to Reed, but I'm going to give it to Andrew. So Andrew, please go ahead.
Whereas, is this on, yeah?
Yep.
Whereas LGBTQ plus people continue to face injustices, and these issues are further amplified for people with overlapping lived experiences, including people with disabilities or racialized people. Whereas Pride season takes place throughout the months of June, July, August, and September, whereas the progressive Pride flag is a reminder that discrimination based on sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression have no place. This resolution is to support Pride season through this resolution and to fly the progressive Pride flag from June 1st to September 30th, 2026 at the Stephen F. Shire Community Center.
Merci. In French.
7.4, reconnaissance de la saison de la fierté. Considérant que les personnes de LGBTQI+, continuent de faire face à des injustices et ces enjeux sont davantage amplifiés pour les personnes dont les expériences vécues se chevauchent, notamment les personnes en situation de handicap ou les personnes racisées, considérant que la saison de la fierté a lieu tout au long des mois de juin, juillet, août et septembre, considérant que le drapeau de la fierté progressiste rappelle que la discrimination fondée sur l'orientation sexuelle, l'identité de genre et l'expression de genre n'a pas sa place, cette résolution a pour but d'appuyer la saison de la fierté par la présente résolution et de faire hisser le drapeau de la fierté progressiste du 1er juin au 30 septembre 2026 au Centre communautaire Stephen F. Shire.
Merci, René. Do I have a mover to my right? Andrew Duma, supported by Bob Johnson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. So the flag pretty much flies all year. We've recently refreshed it here. And depending on different events, sometimes even the Shriners will ask us to fly their flags. It's coming up, June 6th is coming up, so we might get a request from them as well. Maybe this is a hint, if there's anyone in the room or online who knows a Shriner, to remind them to pull out their flag. Darren and I like to attend, and others as well should know. But the flags are part of our pride, for sure, and certainly LGBTQ to us, considerations and awareness is something that is very fitting with Hudson's identity. Item 7.5, a Loom Festival.
Mayor, can you please make note that I'll be recusing myself from 7.5? I do apologize for not bringing it up at the adoption of the agenda.
It's good.
However, due to a conflict of interest, I feel the need to recuse myself.
So please note that Councillor Darren Legault from District 6 recuses himself at 8:16 p.m. Item 7.5, a Loom Festival, permission to use Jack Layton Park. I'm going to pass this again to Andrew since he is now the chairperson to the EDC.
Whereas the Loom Festival will take place July 17th to 19th, 2026. This resolution is to authorize the use of Jack Layton Park by the Loom Festival the weekend of July 17th to 19th, 2026, provided the park remains accessible to the public and that workshops are free and open to the public, to authorize upon the organization providing proof of liability insurance the installation of a 20 by 20 foot Sperry tent from Friday, July 17th to Monday, July 20th, 2026.
7.5, Festival Ilium, autorisation d'utiliser le parc Jack Layton. Le conseiller Darren Legault se récuse à 20h16 parce qu'il a un intérêt dans la question. Considérant que le festival de yoga Ilium aura lieu du 17 au 19 juillet 2026, cette résolution a pour but d'autoriser l'utilisation du parc Jack Layton par le festival Ilium du 17 au 19 juillet, à condition que le parc demeure accessible au public et que les ateliers soient gratuits et ouverts au public, et d'autoriser sur présentation par les organisateurs d'une preuve d'assurance responsabilité civile l'installation d'une tente Sperry de 20 pieds par 20 pieds du vendredi 17 juillet au lundi 20 juillet 2026.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my right? Matt Stenberg, supported by Andrew Duma. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 7.6, award of a contract by mutual agreement. Oh, thank you. Please note that Councillor, I even told myself that. I know. I even told myself that I wouldn't forget, but I did. So here we are. Please note that Councillor Darren Legault returns to the table at 8:18 p.m. Sorry, Darren.
No problem.
Item 7.6, award of a contract by mutual agreement, communications services. Read.
Whereas there have been organizational changes within the town's communications team, whereas the town must ensure continuity in the delivery of communications services, this resolution is to retain the services of John Sheridan Graphic Designs and Illustration to provide communications support services until December 31st, 2026. That the starting date of this mandate be retroactive to January 1st, 2026, to approve the payment of fees to John Sheridan Graphic Designs and Illustrations at an hourly rate of $60 for a maximum amount of $85,100 plus taxes, and that this expense be appropriated in accordance with the budget.
7.6, octroi de contrat de gré à gré, services en communication. Considérant les changements organisationnels au sein de l'équipe des communications de la Ville, considérant que la Ville doit assurer la continuité des services de communication, cette résolution a pour but de retenir les services de John Sheridan Graphic Design and Illustration afin d'assurer des services de soutien en communication jusqu'au 31 décembre 2026, rétroactivement au 1er janvier 2026, d'approuver le paiement d'honoraires professionnels à John Sheridan Graphic Design and Illustration au taux horaire de 60 $ l'heure pour un montant maximal de 85 100 $ plus les taxes applicables et que cette dépense soit imputée conformément au budget approuvé.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Mark Gray, supported by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Bob Johnson, item 7.7. Are you ready? Fixed term contract, youth and senior services technician.
Whereas the current employment contract for the Youth and Seniors Activities Technician ends on June 30th, 2026, whereas Council's objective of expanding programming and activities for seniors and youth, it's resolved to approve a full-time employment contract, 35 hours a week, for the position of Youth and Senior Activities Technician. The contract shall be for a 6-month term from July the 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2026, with a flexible schedule from Monday to Sunday. To maintain the current salary and benefits, that this expense be appropriated in accordance to the budget, to approve the creation of a full-time permanent position of Youth and Seniors Activity Technician effective January the 1st, 2027.
En français.
7.7, octroi à durée déterminée, technicienne au service jeunesse et aînés. Considérant que le contrat d'emploi actuel de la technicienne aux activités jeunesse et aînés prend fin le 30 juin 2026, considérant que le Conseil souhaite élargir l'offre de programmation et d'activités destinées aux jeunes et aux aînés, cette résolution a pour but d'approuver un contrat d'emploi à temps plein de 35 heures par semaine pour le poste de technicienne aux activités jeunesse et aînés. Le contrat sera d'une durée de 6 mois, soit du 1er juillet 2026 au 31 décembre 2026, avec un horaire flexible du lundi au dimanche, de maintenir le salaire et les avantages sociaux actuels, que cette dépense soit imputée conformément au budget et d'approuver la création d'un poste permanent à temps plein de technicienne aux activités jeunesse et aînés à compter du 1er janvier 2027.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Reed Thompson, supported by Andrew Duma. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Section 8, Public Works. Item 8.1 will be for Darren. Awarding of contract AO 2026-01-TP, renovation of the basement of the Legion Building located at 394 Main Street in Hudson. Darren?
Whereas the municipal building located at 394 Main Street sustained damage as a result of a flood. Whereas the public call for tenders AO 2026-01-TP was issued by the Director of Public Works on March 31st, 2026, and published on SEAO, SEAO. Whereas the bids received were opened publicly on May 7th, 2026, whereas the following bids were received. MSR renovation, $105,119. Les Entreprises d'Hubert Incorporées, $105,141.75, and Les Constructions Martel, $222,377. Considering the compliance analysis was carried out, this resolution is to award to MSR Renovation, lowest conforming bidder, the contract for renovation of the basement of the Legion Building located at 394 Main Street in Hudson for an amount of $105,119 before taxes. That this expenditure be financed by the affected surplus for buildings.
Thank you. En français.
8.1, octroi de contrat AO 2026-01-TP, réfection du sol du bâtiment Légion situé au 394 Main à Hudson. Considérant que l'immeuble municipal situé au 394 Main a subi des dommages à la suite d'un événement d'inondation, considérant que l'appel d'offres public AO 2026-01-TP a été lancé par le directeur des Travaux publics le 31 mars 2026 et publié sur SEAO, considérant que les soumissions reçues ont été ouvertes publiquement le 7 mai 2026, considérant que les soumissions suivantes ont été reçues, MSR Rénovation pour $105 119 $, les entreprises d'Hubert Inc. pour $105 141,75 $, et les constructions Martel pour $222 377 $. Cette résolution a pour but d'octroyer à MSR Rénovation, plus bas soumissionnaire conforme, le contrat de réfection du sous-sol du bâtiment Légion, situé au 394 rue Main à Hudson, pour un montant de $105 119 $ avant taxe, et que ces dépenses soient financées par le surplus affecté au bâtiment.
Merci beaucoup. Do I have a mover to my left? Mark Gray, supported by Darren Legault. Are there any objections to this resolution? There are none. It is carried unanimously. There are no items in Section 9, Public Safety. In Section 10 for bylaws, 10.1, adoption bylaw 777-2026 concerning the establishment of a fund dedicated for expenses related to conducting an election and allocation of necessary funds. Whereas a notice of motion of this bylaw was given at the regular meeting of the Town Council held on April 28th of 2026, whereas there have been no changes to the proposed bylaw tabled on April 28th of 2026, whereas the purpose of this bylaw aims to establish a fund dedicated for the financing of expenses related to the holding of an election in accordance with sections 278.1 and 278.2 of the Act respecting elections and referendum in municipalities. This resolution is to adopt bylaw 777-2026 concerning the establishment of a fund dedicated for expenses related to conducting an election and allocation of necessary funds.
10.1, adoption règlement 777-2026 concernant la création d'un fonds réservé pour les dépenses liées à la tenue d'une élection et affectation des sommes nécessaires. Considérant qu'un avis de motion du présent règlement a été donné à la séance ordinaire du Conseil municipal tenue le 28 avril 2026, considérant que le présent règlement ne comporte aucune modification au projet déposé le 28 avril 2026, considérant que l'objet de ce règlement vise à constituer un fonds réservé au financement des dépenses liées à la tenue d'une élection, et ce, conformément aux articles 278.1 et 278.2 de la Loi sur les élections et les référendums dans les municipalités, la LERM. Cette résolution a pour but d'adopter le règlement 777-2026 concernant la création d'un fonds réservé pour les dépenses liées à la tenue d'une élection et affectation des sommes nécessaires.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my right? Bob Johnson, supported by Matt Stenberg. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 10.2, adoption, bylaw 786-2026 concerning nuisances, RMH-450. Whereas a notice of motion of this bylaw was given at the regular meeting of the Town Council held on April 28th of 2026, whereas there have been no changes to the proposed bylaw tabled on April 28th of 2026, whereas the purpose of this bylaw is to determine what constitutes a nuisance and to establish the applicable fines through a regionally harmonized municipal bylaw to ensure its enforcement by the Sûreté du Québec. This resolution is to adopt bylaw 786-2026 concerning nuisances, RMH-450.
10.2, adoption règlement 786-2026 sur les nuisances, RMH 450. Considérant qu'un avis de motion du présent règlement a été donné à la séance ordinaire du Conseil municipal tenue le 28 avril 2026, considérant que le présent règlement ne comporte aucune modification au projet déposé le 28 avril 2026, considérant que l'objet de ce règlement vise à déterminer ce qui constitue des nuisances et d'établir les amendes applicables au règlement via un règlement municipal harmonisé à l'échelle régionale afin d'en assurer l'application par la Sûreté du Québec. Cette résolution a pour but d'adopter le règlement 786-2026 sur les nuisances RMH 450.
Do I have a mover to my left? Darren Legault, supported by Mark Gray. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 10.3, adoption bylaw 728.3-2026, amending bylaw 728-2020 on the delegation of powers and budget follow-up and control of the town of Hudson. Whereas the notice of motion for this bylaw was given at the regular meeting of the Town Council held on April 28th of 2026, whereas the draft bylaw tabled on April 28th of 2026 has been amended as follows. By the addition of Section 6.1 under Section 6, Council delegates to the Director General the power to dispose of any surplus or obsolete movable property of the town whose market value does not exceed $5,000. In such cases, a written authorization of the Director General is sufficient to authorize the sale. If the value of the movable property exceeds $5,000, the Council shall determine the terms of sale for said property by resolution. Whereas the purpose of this bylaw is to apply powers to positions named in the town's organizational chart and to add the specific expenses. This resolution is to adopt Bylaw 728.3-2026, amending Bylaw 728-2020 on the delegation of powers and budget follow-ups and control of the Town of Hudson as amended.
10.3. Adoption règlement 728.3-2026, modifiant le règlement 728-2020 sur la délégation de pouvoir et de contrôle et suivi budgétaire de la Ville d'Hudson. Considérant qu'un avis de motion du présent règlement a été donné à la séance ordinaire du Conseil municipal tenue le 28 avril 2026, considérant que le projet de règlement déposé le 28 avril 2026 s'est vu modifié de la façon suivante, par l'ajout de l'article 6.1 sous l'article 6, stipule le Conseil délègue au directeur général le pouvoir de disposer d'un bien meuble de la Ville en surplus ou désuet dont la valeur marchande qui n'excède pas 5 000 $. Dans un tel cas, l'autorisation écrite du directeur général est suffisante pour permettre la vente. Si la valeur du bien meuble excède 5 000 $, le Conseil déterminera par résolution les modalités de vente du dit bien. Et considérant que l'objet de ce règlement vise à imputer les pouvoirs de dépenses aux postes nommés à l'organigramme de la Ville et d'ajouter les dépenses particulières, cette résolution a pour but d'adopter le règlement 728.3-2026, modifiant le règlement 728-2020 sur la délégation de pouvoirs et de contrôle et suivi budgétaire de la Ville d'Hudson tel que modifié.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Darren Legault, supported by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 10.4, Read Adoption Bylaw 743.7-2026, amending Parking Bylaw 743-2021, RMH-330.
Whereas notice of motion of this bylaw was given at the regular meeting of the Town Council held on April 28, 2026, whereas there have been no changes to the proposed bylaw tabled on April 28, 2026, whereas the purpose of this bylaw is to amend the provisions regarding parking permits and parking on the private lots on Beach Street. This resolution is to adopt Bylaw 743.7-2026, amending Parking Bylaw 743-2021, RMH-330.
10.4. Adoption règlement 743.7-2026 visant à modifier le règlement 743-2021 relatif au stationnement, RMH 330. Considérant qu'un avis de motion du présent règlement a été donné à la séance ordinaire du Conseil municipal tenue le 28 avril 2026, considérant que le présent règlement ne comporte aucune modification au projet déposé le 28 avril 2026, considérant que l'objet de ce règlement vise à modifier les dispositions quant aux vignettes de stationnement et les restrictions de stationnement sur les abords des lots privés de la rue Beach, cette résolution a pour but d'adopter le règlement 743.7-2026 visant à modifier le règlement 743-2021 relatif au stationnement RMH 330.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Mark Gray, supported by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 10.5, Notice of Motion and Tabling Bylaw 788-2026 concerning contractual management. Darren?
Councillor Reed Thompson gives notice of motion that he would move or cause to be moved at a subsequent session of the Council the adoption of Bylaw 788-2026 concerning contractual management, notice of motion, and tabling. Purpose of this bylaw is to establish measures relating to contract management for any contract to be entered into the town, including certain contracting rules for contracts involving an expenditure of at least $25,000. but below the expenditure threshold for a contract that may be awarded only following a call for tenders by open tender procedure pursuant to Section 29 of the Act respecting contracting by municipal bodies, LCOM, said threshold being, as of January 1st, 2026, $139,000, which threshold is adjusted for inflation.
Thank you. En français.
10.5, avis de motion et dépôt, règlement 788-2026 concernant la gestion contractuelle. Le conseiller Reed Thompson donne avis de motion de l'intention de soumettre pour adoption le projet de règlement 788-2026 concernant la gestion contractuelle. Le but de ce règlement est de prévoir des mesures relatives à la gestion contractuelle pour tout contrat qui sera conclu par la Ville, incluant certaines règles de passation des contrats pour les contrats qui comportent une dépense d'au moins 25 000 $, mais inférieure au seuil de la dépense d'un contrat qui ne peut être adjugé qu'après une demande de soumission par procédure ouverte en vertu de l'article 29 de la Loi sur les contrats des organismes municipaux, la LCOM. Ce seuil étant, depuis le 1er janvier 2026, de 139 000 $, lequel seuil est ajusté selon l'inflation.
Merci. Item 10.6, Notice of Motion, Bylaw 525.4-2026, amending the planning program 525 to comply to the revised third-generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges. I will need a councillor to give notice of motion that he would move or cause to be moved at a subsequent session of the council the adoption of Bylaw 525.4-2026, amending the planning program 525 to comply to the revised third-generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges. The purpose of this bylaw is to modify the bylaw to comply to the revised third-generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges. So the councillor is Mark Gray. En français.
10.6, avis de motion, règlement 525.4-2026, modifiant le plan d'urbanisme 525 afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. Le conseiller Margaret donne avis de motion de l'intention de soumettre pour adoption le projet de règlement 525.4-2026, modifiant le plan d'urbanisme 525 afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. L'objet de ce règlement est de modifier le règlement afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC Vaudreuil-Soulanges.
Merci. Item 10.7 is related, so adoption of the draft bylaw 525.4-2026, amending the planning program 525 to comply to the revised third-generation land use and development plan of the MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. Whereas the revised third-generation land use and development plan, also known as SADR3, of the MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges came into force on February 2nd of 2023. Whereas a notice of motion for this bylaw was given at the regular meeting of Town Council this evening, held on May 26 of 2026. This resolution is the draft bylaw 525.4-2026, amending the planning program 525 to comply to the revised third-generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges be adopted. En français.
10.7, adoption du projet règlement 525.4-2026, modifiant le plan d'urbanisme 525 afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. Considérant que le schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération, SADR3, de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges est entré en vigueur le 2 février 2023, considérant qu'un avis de motion du présent règlement a été donné à la séance ordinaire du Conseil municipal de ce soir, le 26 mai 2026, cette résolution vise à ce que le projet de règlement 525.4-2026, modifiant le règlement sur le plan d'urbanisme numéro 525, afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges, soit adopté.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my right? Matt Stenberg, supported by Bob Johnson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. So before we move to the next two items, which are related to the zoning bylaw, also for this exercise of concordance, so conformity to the plan that is above us, I do invite everyone to take a look at the incredible work that has been done by our urban planning and communication departments, where on the town's website, under the tab for special projects, you will find that there is still the tab for Sandy Beach, but there is now a new tab called Concordance, or Conformity, and they have actually explained in detail the overview, the timeline, what each of these draft bylaws represent, but also the planned dates that are coming up. So for example, this evening was the notice of motion and adoption of the draft. In June to August will be the preliminary review of the draft of these bylaws by the MRC. In September will be the reception of the MRC's comments and revisions, and in late October we anticipate will be the adoption of the revised draft bylaws. In November of 2026 will be a public consultation meeting to present all of these, with a final adoption with or without changes in December. The final review by the MRC will take place. They have a window of 120 days, so between December and March of next year, with an anticipated coming into force once the MRC issues the compliance certificate in March of 2027. This is a very long process. You will find updates on this tab, and please let us know if there's any element that is not clear or that you have further questions on. There's also a section called frequently asked questions, so FAQs on what is a concordance or conformity, what is the land use development plan, and so on. So it's quite detailed, and I'd like to thank the team for getting this done and taking this on their own. This really was a self-motivated on their part, and I think that they found the value from previous exercises where we'd done this, where it answers a great number of questions and brings better, I guess, participation, active and intelligent participation of people asking questions that go deeper into the material rather than just staying on the surface. So thank you again. Item 10.8, so now these are the two elements that are pertaining to the zoning bylaw, which of course the planning program is really the overarching vision, and then how that gets declined into the different bylaws is zoning and all of the other bylaws. So 10.8, notice of motion, bylaw 526.20-2026, amending the zoning bylaw 526 to comply to the revised third generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges. I will need a councillor to my right to give notice of motion that he would move or cause to be moved at a subsequent session of the council the adoption of bylaw 526.20-2026, amending the zoning bylaw 526 to comply to the revised third generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges. The purpose of this bylaw is to modify the bylaw to comply to the revised third generation land use and development plan of the MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. So to my right, do I have a councillor? Matt Stenberg gives notice of motion. En français.
10.8, avis de motion, règlement 526.20-2026, modifiant le règlement de zonage 526 afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. Le conseiller Matthew Stenberg donne avis de motion de l'intention de soumettre pour adoption le projet de règlement 526.20-2026, modifiant le règlement de zonage 526 afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. L'objet de ce règlement est de modifier le règlement afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges.
Merci. Item 10.9, adoption of the draft of this bylaw, 526.20-2026, amending the zoning bylaw 526 to comply to the revised third generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges. Whereas the revised third generation land use and development plan, SADR3, of the MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges came into force on February 2nd of 2023, whereas a notice of motion for this bylaw was given this evening at the regular meeting of Town Council held on May 26th of 2026. This resolution is that is that the draft bylaw 526.20-2026, amending the zoning bylaw 526 to comply to the revised third-generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges be adopted. En français.
10.9, adoption du projet règlement 526.20-2026, modifiant le règlement de zonage 526 afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. Considérant que le schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération, SADR 3, de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges est entré en vigueur le 2 février 2023, considérant qu'un avis de motion du présent règlement a été donné à la séance ordinaire du Conseil municipal tenue le 26 mai 2026, cette résolution vise à ce que le projet de règlement 526.20-2026 modifiant le règlement de zonage 526 afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges soit adopté.
Merci beaucoup. Do we have a mover to my left? Darren Legault, supported by Reed Thompson. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Item 10.10, so this is for all of the other bylaws that fall underneath this master plan. Notice of motion, bylaw 787-2026, amending the subdivision bylaw 527, permits and certificates bylaw 529, minor exemption bylaw 530, site planning and architectural integration SPAPE bylaw 571, and comprehensive development program CDP bylaw 772 to comply to the revised third-generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges. I will need a councillor to my left, Reed Thompson, to give notice of motion that he would move or cause to be moved at a subsequent session of the Council the adoption of bylaw 787-2026, amending the subdivision bylaw 527, permits and certificate bylaw 529, minor exemptions bylaw 530, site planning and architectural integration SPAPE bylaw 571, and comprehensive development program CDP bylaw 772 to comply to the revised third-generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges. The purpose of this bylaw is to modify the bylaws to comply to the revised third-generation land use and development plans of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges.
10.10, avis de motion, règlement 787-2026, modifiant les règlements de lotissement 527 sur les permis et certificats 529, concernant les dérogations mineures 530, concernant les plans d'implantation et d'intégration architecturale PIIA 571 et sur les plans d'aménagement d'ensemble PAE 772, afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. Le conseiller Reed Thompson donne avis de motion de l'intention de soumettre pour adoption le projet de règlement 787-2026, modifiant les règlements de lotissement 527 sur les permis et certificats 529, concernant les dérogations mineures 530, concernant les plans d'implantation et d'intégration architecturale PIIA 571 et sur les plans d'aménagement d'ensemble PAE 772, afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. L'objet de ce règlement est de modifier les règlements afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges.
Merci beaucoup. I believe we're at 10.11, 10.11, adoption of draft bylaw 787-2026, amending the subdivision bylaw 527, permits and certificate bylaw 529, minor exemption bylaw 530, site planning, architectural integration SPAPE bylaw 571, and comprehensive development program CDP bylaw 772 to comply to the revised third generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges. Whereas the revised third generation land use and development plan, SADR 3, of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges came into force on February 2nd of 2023, whereas a notice of motion for this bylaw was given this evening at the regular meeting of the Town Council held on May 26th of 2026. This resolution is that draft bylaw 787-2026, amending the subdivision bylaw 527, permits and certificates bylaw 529, minor exemption bylaw 530, site planning and architectural integration SPAPE bylaw 571, and comprehensive development program CDP bylaw 772 to comply to the revised third generation land use and development plan of the MRC of Vaudreuil-Soulanges be adopted.
10.11, adoption du projet Règlement 787-2026, modifiant les règlements de lotissement 527 sur les permis et certificats 529, concernant les dérogations mineures 530, concernant les plans d'implantation et d'intégration architecturale PIIA 571 et sur les plans d'aménagement d'ensemble PAE 772, afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges. Considérant que le schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération SADR 3 de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges est entré en vigueur le 2 février 2023, considérant qu'un avis de motion du présent règlement a été donné à la séance ordinaire du Conseil municipal de ce soir tenue le 26 mai 2026, cette résolution vise à ce que le projet de règlement 787-2026, modifiant les règlements de lotissement 527 sur les permis et certificats 529, concernant les dérogations mineures 530, concernant les plans d'implantation et d'intégration architecturale PIIA 571 et sur les plans d'aménagement d'ensemble PAE 772, afin de se conformer au schéma d'aménagement et de développement révisé de troisième génération de la MRC de Vaudreuil-Soulanges, soit adopté.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my left? Mark Gray, supported by Darren Legault. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is adopted unanimously. So again, I draw your attention to this web page on our site, the town's website. To the right, there's a column, and if you scroll down in the green portion, and of course my mouse is not working, there is a section called additional documents. And there you will find an explanatory sheet that is dated today. And if I could just move over to the other part, per bylaw, you will find actually the elements that have been changed and revised. And we are taking the opportunity as well to rezone the section or the site of Sandy Beach for conservation purposes. So that is one of the items. And also revising the capacity for la capacité d'accueil. So that is the capacity for development in Hudson. So bring that number back to what is actually developable with the sites, the lots that are remaining with the new density. So I hope that you find that all of those informations useful. Certainly a lot of work has gone into it, and for me at least, it's the first time that we have such clarity on exactly what is being proposed, why it is being proposed, and what are the items that are up for change. So again, if you have any questions on that, please bring them to us. We would like to bring this to adoption so that we can submit it to the MRC as soon as possible and move forward. After this process of conforming to the regional master plan, the region currently is updating their master plan to conform to the revised PMAD. So the whole process will have to start all over again in order to be conforming to that next revision. So we're going to be in revisions for several years, as was expected. All right, moving forward with item 10.12, authorization to enforce municipal bylaws and issue violation tickets, designation update. Whereas Section 147 of the Code of Penal Procedure, RSQCC-25.1, provides that an authorization to issue a statement which may be given by the prosecutor shall be given generally or specially and in writing. In addition, it shall indicate the offenses or classes of offenses for which it is given. This resolution is to appoint the persons designated in Appendix A, B, and C attached hereto as designated officers having jurisdiction for the enforcement of the municipal and provincial bylaws listed below, as well as all their amendments, therefore enabling them to issue statements of offense. En français.
10.12, autorisation d'application des règlements municipaux et d'émission de constats, mise à jour des désignations. Considérant que l'article 147 du Code de procédure pénale, RLRQ, C.C-25.1 prévoit l'autorisation de délivrer un constat que peut donner le poursuivant est faite généralement ou spécialement et par écrit. Elle indique en outre les infractions ou catégories d'infractions pour lesquelles elle est donnée. Cette résolution a pour but de nommer les personnes désignées aux annexes A, B et C, jointes au présent à titre d'officiers désignés pour l'application des règlements municipaux et provinciaux énumérés ci-dessous, de même que tous leurs amendements, et ainsi leur permettre d'émettre des constats d'infraction.
Merci. Do I have a mover to my right? Bob Johnson, supported by Matt Stenberg. Are there any objections to this resolution? Please raise your hand. There are none. It is carried unanimously. Are there any items under other authorities or new business? No. So we will open the second question period. And again, I don't see the number of people online or if there's hands, so we will alternate, and I will ask Chantal to let us know how many people are left online. Donc, combien de personnes sont encore en ligne?
14 personnes.
So still 14. So please go ahead in the room, and then we will move back and forth.
Yeah, I want to draw your attention to 4.3. Concordance, refinancing of issue 71-100, loan bylaw 782. That's the Sandy Beach bylaw.
Correct.
And from what little information we received, this involves a issuance of a series of bonds totaling $5.3 million. Can you explain, first of all, the purpose of this resolution, and number two, what's this mean for the whole 782 financing structure?
I will actually pass this to our Director General, so she may answer the question.
Mr. Duff, as you know, the purchase of Sandy Beach is financed, right, in a long-term loan, and this is the portion of the amount that the town had borrowed to be able to purchase this. So this is part of the financing procedures that we went through that were financed through bonds. How does this affect? This will affect on your taxation bill in 2027 that you will see this taxed next year.
Was the bylaw written? I remember reading the bylaw, and I didn't bring it with me tonight, but there was the last section of the bylaw dealt with alternative financing structures. Was this a part of that alternative financing structure? Does it affect, basically my question is it transparent or will be it transparent to the tax-paying public?
You want me to answer?
Same amount of money, same cost,
It's in line exactly with what the bylaw was adopted.
So we shouldn't bother about the mechanism by which this thing is being financed? Because I don't remember any issuance of bonds in the original discussion of 782.
So
I don't
if I may-
recall.
If I may. The issuing of bonds is every time we go for a long-term loan bylaw. So this is preparing the way for the long-term. We're converting the short-term to the long-term loan. And as our Director General explained, transparently, you will see that line item as we've committed already. It will show up on your tax invoice next year to service this long-term. We haven't yet gone out for public tender for this long-term loan, correct? Which are called bonds. I believe.
This is the process that we're in.
This is begins
This
it,
is
but
the
then we'll get
process.
the results, and we'll have to pass another resolution that'll give how many lending institutions tendered on this, and it will give the rate and the 5-year period. Is this correct? So it's the same as what you've seen in the past, it's just broken up into two. Usually you wouldn't see the bonds first and the resolution separately. I think generally we do it on the same night.
Too bad the taxpayers can't invest in this. What's it pay?
What does it pay to?
Interest. What's it
Well,
pay
right
in
now
interest?
it seems that the market for shorter length loan bylaws is around 3.5, 3.8, somewhere around there. So but we are currently budgeted for 5%, I believe. So we know it will be less than what was budgeted, but we're still hoping that the market will support. And remember that these get renegotiated every 5 years.
So we're still on 3.1%?
We're expecting around 3.5, 3.8, but we have budgeted for 5%.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions en ligne?
Il y a 5 mains levées.
5 mains levées, donc on va alterner entre un et l'autre. J'ai l'impression que c'est les gens de Willowbrook peut-être qui veulent se faire entendre. So please go ahead.
Ewa.
Please go ahead. Online?
Yes, hi. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, good evening. I have a couple of questions. First, in regards to the bylaw for the repair of the Legion basement due to flooding. I'm wondering, was there no insurance coverage? I know we've had flooding in the community center before. Have we just run out or failed too many times in protecting the basement that there's no coverage for this damage?
I will pass the question to our Director General as well.
Sorry. Can you please repeat that? Because I was actually on Mr.
The question is, was there any insurance for the damages caused in the basement of the Legion?
Tu peux répondre?
Oui, il y avait des assurances qui ne couvraient pas la totalité du montant, puis il y a eu plusieurs réclamations au fil des ans, je crois 5 réclamations ici.
Mais nous avons une assurance et nous allons recevoir une certaine couverture pour cet accès-ci.
Certains pourcentages, oui.
Un pourcentage. So to answer your question, Eva, yes, there are insurances for this building. There have been 5 claims to date in recent years on previous occurrences and damages caused to the basement, and there will be partial coverage on this work as well.
Okay, well, it's good to know there's at least partial coverage because we seem to have too many floods, unfortunately. I seem to recall, I don't know if it was a backfill valve wasn't installed at the community center, that it had been damaged right after it had been rebuilt, but hopefully we'll fix the backflow.
Yes, no, there's been successive issues. I think there was equipment as well, and there's been also seepage from the exterior. So there's multiple issues that we are looking to address at this time. I believe that completes it. Did you want to add anything?
No.
No. Did you have
the next? Yeah, I think I'm allowed 3, so I'm going to go to number 2. The next one was regarding Sandy Beach. Although it's not popular with everyone, I am happy to hear that the other property was acquired. It's a shame that you had such a high price to match, but in my mind, we had that grant, which I wasn't too thrilled to accept, so I see it as covering that. All that to bring me around to the question of donations. I have been seeing for quite some time fundraising going around town. I'm wondering, has the town as yet received any donations from the Save Sandy Beach group towards offsetting the cost of the purchase of Sandy Beach?
Not to my knowledge, but I will pass the question again to the Director General.
None that we've received, no.
We have not received any donations per se.
Okay, and my third question, I'd like to direct this to the Circulation Committee. I believe there are some members of council who are a part of that. Now, I brought this up at least 2 years before, is the concern of Main Road. Now, We've got lots going on in Bellevue. We've got a beautiful stretch on Lakeview, but Main Road between the ferry and the town remains quite dangerous. It was wonderful to see that path widened a few years back. Unfortunately, whoever contracted the painting of the line literally cut the corners and lopped off a foot and a half at each of these dangerous blind curves, which leaves quite a dangerous blind spot for pedestrians. Nothing has been done to address the safety of pedestrians or cyclists on the path. And that's fine when you're going east, using it on the eastbound side of the road. The westbound side of the road has no shoulder whatsoever. There's much too much overgrowth that is never addressed until the fall. The drainage ditches have broken trees. There's broken wires hanging from some of the poles. So my question is, from the Circulation Committee, what can you do to make Main Road safer? And is there anything planned for this year? Oh, and as a side note, I don't understand what the point of painting the lines before the roads were actually clean, because literally you've painted over salt and sand, and I don't know how to get information from the Circulation Committee to the powers that be at Town Hall, to the Planning Department, to the actual contractors, because obviously this is my third attempt and it's just not going anywhere.
So the best way to contact the Circulation Committee is through Town Hall's main desk, the reception desk, but the two councillors at the table who sit on that committee, I'm sure that they've heard you well. With regards to safety and walkability and speeding and everything related to circulation, we are still expecting to begin a circulation master plan that will take this into consideration. There will be public consultations as well, so that's another opportunity to take this down or to be heard. My sense with regards to the painting, if I understand correctly from material that we've received in preparation of this evening, is there might have been issues with the painting contract. So that might explain why, the cleaning contract, there might have been issues with the cleaning contract, which might explain why the painting was done out of sequence in some areas. But again, that's something that we'll have to look further into. But I'm sure that your comments have been heard. There's also some comments saying that maybe we should be looking to paint later on in the year. So those are all things I think that can continue to be brought up, and hopefully we'll just keep getting better at providing a sense of safety as we walk along a very narrow street such as Main. I know that some people want bollards. That again comes with its load of issues. Maybe bollards at the bends or the blind curves might be one of the approaches that could be used. But anyway, we'll continue to take that in discussion. But thank you, Eva.
Thank you.
Yes, in the room. It is very hot here, so if you guys don't know, I'm super sweating. I'm sure everybody else is. Our water is down to zero, but it's, I don't know, it must be about 28 degrees in this room. So please, please come ahead.
Okay. It's regarding the concordance bylaw 788-2026, section 12.
Which?
It's bylaw 788.
Which item?
This is item section 12.
Section 12?
Yeah, section 12. And it's interesting that Andrew is sitting right there because it would really affect him and the town.
Okay.
And so if we take a look at what it says that the town reserves the right to enter into a contract for acquisition and lease of property from a business in which a council member has an interest, or a contract for the provision of certain manual services by a council member or by a business in which he or she has an interest. And restaurants are one of those. So does that mean the town has to enter into a contract to buy Sauvages? That's what it says.
I wouldn't know.
I'm not quite sure that you have to read that back to me or come see me.
Yeah, okay, so that it would be section 12, 12.2.
Section 12, but in a certain bylaw, and then I'd have to see which bylaw you're speaking to. I don't have the copies of the bylaws, so I'm sorry. I could pull them up from my working files or from the SharePoint. Thank you. So this is from the bylaw 788-2026 concerning contractual management. In this are just the excerpts that were modified, so as brought up by Ms. Craig. In Section 12, contract with a member of council, public official, or employee, there are changes, including for the purposes of Article 12.1 and 12.2, the types of businesses where goods may be purchased or rented are as follows. So this is for the town, I believe, taking out a contract directly. Are you?
I don't have the bylaw in front of me. If I could read the whole beginning of it, and if I may, can we take this aside and maybe I can respond it after I've read it, please? Thank you.
Okay, next. This is regarding contaminated properties in Hudson. Lake Motors. As far as I remember, when Lake Motors, when Elio Sasso gave the property for the Medi Center, that land was decontaminated. Yet it's still on the list, and it's still called Lake Motors.
Maybe it wasn't deregistered from the public registry?
And then Sandy Beach also. Is that the dump site, or is that where the Ultramar used to have their holding tanks?
I believe that there's a container that's left on the site, sort of a reservoir, but it could be from one of the cottages or something, a heating oil. That
Probably
has to be
Ultramar.
characterized.
Yeah, probably the Ultramar then. Okay, and the noise bylaw, there's no exclusion for the new bylaw when it comes to nuisance, shouting, singing, would be considered to be a nuisance, which means every school would be subject to this. Perhaps a rewrite to make accommodations for certain properties.
So I believe that these harmonized bylaws go through a committee of review at the regional level with the town clerks and the SQs involved and the municipal court personnel is also involved. And what I understand from their process is that there's always a certain amount of, not accommodation, but what is it? Not just leeway, but common sense, like apply common sense. Like, of course, if you're speaking about a school and there's kids around, that's common sense that that is not a nuisance, right? So it's implicit. You don't need to explicitly.
But as you know, unless it's written, it will apply. So there should be some.
It should, but there's so many provisions in that sense that your bylaw would never finish. And the SQ officers are trained, and you would hope that our patrolmen as well are trained in order to discern what right is.
This is something I would bring up at the MRC, just so that there isn't constant, because there's sometimes new people that move in that will follow this. The police will have to abide by this, and they will be in breach daily. So, and it won't be subject to whether the police wants to or not. It's written that way. So just maybe just write a little disclaimer for.
Yeah, I can't imagine that a judge at the municipal level would support, that sort of claim that children in a play area can't be children. Anyway, thank you very much for your suggestion. Des questions en ligne?
Bernard Soukman.
Yes, please go ahead, Bernard.
Hello, good evening all. It's only regarding item on the agenda 7.3 for July 1st. The way it was read out, you have July 1st on a Tuesday, but this year it's on a Wednesday. And that's all.
Thank you, Bernard. He's caught something I didn't notice, but July 1st is a Wednesday. You are correct. Thank you. Oui, le prochain?
Frédéric.
Frédéric, please go ahead.
Est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Oui, là, on vous entend.
Oui, OK. En fait, c'est qu'on est quelques familles qui ont pas réussi à avoir de place dans le camp de jour de Hudson.
Ah, d'accord,
Puis,
allez-y.
dans le fond, je me demandais s'il y avait comme eu des calculs qui avaient été faits par rapport à la quantité d'enfants là, de Hudson, par rapport à la quantité de place dans le camp. Parce que là, on est plusieurs familles qui, on peut pas s'inscrire dans le fond parce qu'il n'y a plus de place.
Oui, je savais
Puis,
qu'il y avait
on-
au moins une famille qui était dans cette situation-là, mais je n'étais pas au courant qu'il y en avait plus. Je pense
Ouais,
que c'est
c'est ça,
la
ouais, on
même
a
quantité
quelques-uns.
que l'an dernier et je pense
OK.
qu'on n'a même pas ouvert aux familles de l'extérieur. On a ouvert aux familles de l'extérieur, donc écoutez, on va voir ce qui peut être fait. J'imagine
OK.
qu'il y aura une liste d'attente de toute façon. Mais si vous pouvez nous envoyer un courriel ou peut-être vous l'avez déjà fait, on va pouvoir vous revenir, la Ville pourra vous revenir avec si jamais il y a une possibilité pour cette année.
OK. Ben, dans le fond, là, j'ai reçu... ben, j'étais en communication avec Danica, puis dans le fond, qui est la Camp Coordinator, puis elle a dit que là, dans le fond, ils sont en train de vérifier la capacité de l'espace. Donc, on va voir, là, mais ben, tu sais, moi, j'ai l'impression que peut-être que le camp... Peut-être qu'avec Sandy Beach, tu sais, qui est ouvert, ou je sais pas, peut-être qu'il y a eu plus d'inscriptions que l'année passée. Ou peut-être qu'il y a plus de familles aussi, mais
Peut-être qu'il y a
peut-être que
plus
les
de
quantités
familles.
sont à revoir, tu sais.
Oui, non, c'est un bon point. À ce que je sache, on a les mêmes quantités que l'an dernier, mais peut-être c'est une question de priorisation aussi. Puis, comme vous l'avez bien dit, c'est un signe qu'il y a plus d'enfants, certainement, à Hudson, ce qui est toujours bon signe pour nous en termes de renouvellement démographique. Mais bref, on va vous tenir au courant. Donc, si vous êtes déjà en communication avec la Ville, c'est un bon début.
Parfait, merci.
Merci à vous. Je vois qu'il y a une personne dans la salle, donc on va prendre le prochain.
Since it's hot, Benoit Blais, few quick questions. 4.4 for the roof and everything, will those expenses be classified as fixed asset or spended? It's for the roof of the town hall.
4.4, renovation work for both Town Hall and 64-seater. You want to know if it's going to be?
Including the fixed asset, or
Fixed
it will be passed as expense?
I would expect it goes into fixed assets, but I will let the Director General confirm.
That's a good question for the treasurer, but I think it's actually going to be an expense.
Okay.
You're expending the life of a fixed asset for 20 years. I think it should not be expense. Yeah, just
It will be brought up
verify.
to the Treasurer, but thank you for asking the question.
4.7, the council guideline, are you going to publish those
They are accessible.
on the website?
I can certainly make them available through Facebook and others, but they are accessible. You can
Perfect.
ask the town and they will share.
Last question, 10.3. Who will evaluate if a good, an asset to dispose is less than $2,000, $5,000? Is it
So
will
we're
be-
talking about chairs and tables and things like that, but you're right. Who gets to
classify
put yeah.
a truck as 2,000 and so
That's a good point. So the question is, do you have an answer or no?
I don't have an answer for that at the moment, no.
Could you come back to us?
But internally, it would be the department that would have the responsibility to do that analysis and to provide it within the recommendation to sale.
but I could estimate that my car is worth 2,000 and it's worth 15,000.
They will take the means necessary to contact and to solicit the professionals
So it's
around
in the
them within the
bylaw.
domain that we're talking about. It could be a chair, it could be a pool, a
Perfect.
rope, it could be, in this case, it was, I think, weights that were sitting somewhere that were not being used. So
So it will be in the
they will
bylaw.
do their own evaluation with their professionals accordingly.
Okay. The last question on that part, will a town employee or relative be allowed to buy those assets to dispose?
Interesting.
The answer should be no for obvious reason.
The answer should be no for obvious reasons with the code of ethics that we do have, and I'm sure that we can actually put that into place. If it's not, we will put that into writing so that it's assured.
Thank you.
Thank you, Benoît. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions en ligne?
Dominique.
Dominique, please go ahead. Est-ce que c'est le même,
Yeah,
Dominique?
just one.
Go
Oui, c'est
ahead.
moi.
Ouais, allez-y.
Yeah, sorry. So just for the maintenance of the area, it would be very helpful, and we'd like to hopefully use that as soon as possible. Is this something that you predict would be done this summer?
Could you repeat the first part of your question?
Yeah, so I'm from the Willowbrook area.
Yes,
So the
okay.
area right now, yeah.
So whether it could be used this year, the park? Was that your
Or if it
question?
could be, if it could be cleaned or maintained this
Cleaned or maintained?
summer.
So
we
right
wanna
now,
go
the
up there with
property
kids
does
and dogs.
not belong
Yeah.
to the town. I believe we would have to ask for permission, but we've taken this down, I believe, and we'll look into it.
I've taken a note to bring it up with the municipal inspector.
Municipal inspector, okay. So thank you for raising it, and we will try to provide an update next month.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions en ligne?
Carol Ann Mills.
Carol Ann, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. Just two quick questions, if I...
Go ahead.
Sorry. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. A couple of very quick questions. The first would be with regards to the contract for a total of $85,000 for a graphic designer. I'm asking if this person is doing page layout for our 3 issues of The Voice, or is this a journalist, someone who actually writes articles, or is this strictly a layout person? That seems like an awful lot of money for 3 issues of The Voice, if that's what the contract is all about.
I will pass the question to our Director General if you have more details to share.
Absolutely. The coordinator, the communication coordinator, has been transferred to director of the recreation, leisure, the CLEK department, and that position, coordinator of communications, is vacant at the moment. So council decided that instead of hiring somebody at the moment, that they would wait and defer the filling up of this position, and therefore we had to outsource the communications of that to an external person. So this person is actually taking over the role of all the communications that you see on site, what the mayor just mentioned too, on the website. That's a collaboration that's done by this person with the departments. Your weekly communications, all types of the communications that the coordinator was doing has been delegated to this external professional at the moment until we fill the position up.
Does that answer your question?
It does. It's just interesting that they are promoting themselves as graphic designer or website designer, and yet they're going to be handling an entire communications portfolio. Thank you. The second question I have is with regards to the purchase of office equipment, and yet, as far as I understand from these meetings, there's been a shuffling of employees here, there, and everywhere. Is this really the right time to be needing to be purchasing equipment if we don't even know where employees are going to end up?
I will pass the question to the Director General.
You're correct. The employees are dispersed in various buildings because of the issues that have been mentioned by the mayor multiple times. At the moment, the town hall project has been deferred to a lengthier project time, therefore over a 4-year period, which means that we have no choice but to intervene into the buildings that are actually housing the employees at the moment, because there are certain situations of health situations. So while we were there, while we are fixing the issues, we are renovating Cedar, we are also bringing up certain modifications, HVAC at the town hall, and while we're there in the middle, if you've been to town hall, we're upgrading the furniture, the centerpieces, the office equipment, excuse me, that is there, and anything that is used will be used at the new town hall. So it will be reused and retransferred into the new town hall or to the public works garage. So this is not a loss.
Does that answer your question?
It does. I still find the timing a little odd. We're bringing somebody in to evaluate what our needs are when we haven't actually determined how the entire space is going to be used. But thank you.
Thank you. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions en ligne? Yes.
The name is CQCTP. CQCTP.
All right. Please ask your questions.
Oui, bonjour. Mon nom est Cynthia Beaulieu. Je suis désolée, c'était le Zoom de mon entreprise. Donc, en fait, j'avais une question moi aussi concernant les camps de jour parce que, à partir de la mi-avril, il n'y avait plus de place. Puis nous, on est plusieurs familles là, à Hudson qui avaient l'habitude d'inscrire nos enfants, mais là, il n'y a pas de place. Donc, je me demandais, est-ce que la Ville a un plan pour augmenter la capacité ou encore un plan, du moins l'année prochaine, pour prioriser les inscriptions finalement aux résidents, aux résidentes de Hudson?
Merci beaucoup pour la question. Pour l'instant, je n'ai pas eu vent de plan ou autre, mais je pense que vous apportez une bonne suggestion, puis on va voir à l'interne qu'est-ce qui peut être fait, mais je vois que la directrice générale aimerait ajouter des détails. Donc.
Effectivement, cette année, il y a eu plus d'inscriptions qui avaient été prévues. Par contre, il faut aussi noter qu'il y a une période qui était gelée dans les réservations des places, qui était uniquement pour des résidents de Hudson. Ça, cette période-là a eu lieu. Et là, ce qu'on constate aujourd'hui, c'est qu'il y a beaucoup de gens, de résidents, que là, ils commencent à s'inscrire ou commencent à regarder les places en ce moment. Et les places sont complètes, même qu'ils ont trop booké. On n'a plus d'enfants qu'on avait par avant. Donc, on a une capacité. On va commencer à utiliser la Légion, on va utiliser ici au sous-sol. Donc, la capacité est atteinte. On pourrait peut-être faire une suggestion pour les années à venir de réduire les non-résidents, ce qui n'avait pas été prévu parce que l'an dernier, si on regarde les statistiques, on était correct dans les ratios. Mais là, je pense qu'il va falloir faire une recommandation justement pour 2027 des ratios.
Je dirais même prolonger la période qui est réservée pour les résidents ou les citoyens de Hudson pour justement éviter ou peut-être réserver une certaine liste, une marge de manœuvre.
Bien noté. Bien noté, je vais le noter, je vais le transférer à la directrice.
Donc, merci de nous avoir apporté ces points-là. On est désolé que ça vous soit arrivé, mais si vous êtes sur la liste justement de communication mentionnée par la personne précédente, ça permettra à la Ville, au cas où il y ait des libérations dans la liste, qu'ils puissent vous rejoindre. Mais aussi, comme disait notre directrice générale, nous sommes en évaluation de capacité additionnelle, si j'ai bien compris. Donc, qui sait, il y a peut-être encore une certaine chance. Moi, je serais intéressée à savoir combien de familles se sont retrouvées dans cette situation-là et puis qu'on ait une meilleure compréhension de qu'est-ce qui s'est passé. Donc, merci. Désolée encore.
Je veux juste préciser, là, par contre, c'est pas aujourd'hui qu'on s'est rendu compte qu'il n'y avait plus de place. On a quand même mentionné le tout à partir de fin avril. Donc, je sais que plusieurs villes, justement, à côté d'Hudson, c'est exclusivement destiné à l'usage des résidents et des résidentes, ce qui rend très difficile de trouver des places à un prix, disons, raisonnable. Là, mais c'est ça, je vais juste mentionner qu'on s'est mis en action assez rapidement là, dès que c'était rempli. Là.
Merci beaucoup. J'apprécie cette information additionnelle. Are there any other questions? Il n'y en a plus? Il y en a plus? Oui, allez-y.
Bien, je m'excuse, je sais qu'il fait chaud et tout, là, mais j'avais juste une dernière question.
Allez-y, c'est bon.
Parce que je suis en contact avec beaucoup de familles de Hudson, alors je prends un peu la parole aussi concernant la piscine municipale. J'aimerais ça qu'on entame, on ne fera pas ça aujourd'hui, là, mais qu'on entame une réflexion aussi sur le fait que ce soit communautaire. Si c'est communautaire, il me semble que ça devrait être d'une part gratuit. Quand on regarde toutes les villes aux alentours, même dans toutes les villes au Québec, une piscine dans une ville, c'est gratuit, c'est destiné à l'usage des citoyens et des citoyennes. Et je me dis qu'il y a sûrement eu une réflexion de pourquoi est-ce qu'un tarif, même si réduit, mais un tarif, j'imagine que la Ville a réfléchi à cette question-là, mais Pour nous, ça fait 4 ans qu'on est ici, puis ça reste vraiment un gros point d'interrogation. Là, je sais qu'en plus de ça, il y a du retard dans les travaux qui étaient tout de même planifiés. Je comprends que le mauvais temps, oui, mais le mauvais temps, ça se planifie aussi. Quand on fait des travaux, on le sait à l'avance pour avoir des jours de pluie. C'est le printemps, alors ça fait partie de la planification normalement. Là, les élèves vont être privés, là, les élèves de Saint-Thomas vont être privés, en fait, d'eau, d'une piscine. Il y aura certainement des températures caniculaires. Il n'y a pas de climatisation dans l'école. Donc, toutes des choses, finalement, une réflexion peut-être à approfondir là, sur cette piscine-là. Puis les nombreuses familles là, qui vivent ici à Hudson puis qui paient aussi des taxes et des impôts en achetant des maisons, des fois qui ont besoin de rénovation à des personnes un peu plus âgées. Donc, un petit commentaire là, pour terminer, là, qui est porté par
c'est apprécié, mais on soutient déjà financièrement. En fait, l'entièreté des citoyens soutiennent déjà quand même de manière importante les coûts d'opération et de rénovation de la piscine. Donc, c'est un point qui nous a été soulevé. Je pense que le mois dernier, j'en ai parlé. Je n'ai pas les chiffres devant moi, malheureusement, mais c'est quand même assez substantiel. Je vais les ressortir pour la séance prochaine. C'est sûr qu'on pourrait toujours en reparler lors de l'élaboration du prochain budget, mais c'est juste à comprendre que nous sommes une communauté de 5400 environ personnes, dont, en termes de payeurs de taxes, peut-être 2400. Donc, c'est quand même des coûts quand même assez importants. Et puis, de le rendre entièrement gratuit, je pense que quelque part, on fait une part des choses, mais on ne pourra pas le rendre complètement gratuit. Peut-être qu'il y a un meilleur écart à rendre entre les citoyens de Hudson qui payent des taxes à Hudson et ceux qui sont plus de l'extérieur. Peut-être qu'il y a ça qu'il faudrait qu'on regarde. Mais pour l'instant, je n'anticipe pas qu'on arrive à un coût de zéro pour les utilisateurs, étant donné qu'on paye déjà pas mal au travers de nos comptes de taxes. Mais je vous remercie quand même de l'avoir apporté.
Merci.
Merci. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions en ligne? Non? Sur ce, la dernière page. Did you want to read it?
Section 13, adjournment of the meeting. This resolution is to close the meeting, or that the meeting be adjourned at 9:33 p.m. En français, s'il vous plaît.
Excusez. 13, levée de la séance. Cette résolution a pour but que la séance soit levée à 21h33.
And who's putting their hands up to propose? So Matt Stenberg and Bob Johnson. Any objections? You sure? Without objections. Merci beaucoup, René. Merci.